Hey, what's up, dudes? Okay, starting late today. What I don't even know what day it is. It's Thursday. Yep, out of work, on vacation this week. Slashed my thumb wide open, and instead of using a couple option days, I just decided I'm just gonna take vacation this week. My boss was cool and let me do it. All right, so yes, oh, we got some restart we need to do with our extensions, and cool, you click one and it starts on. Okay, so there we go. We started that, so we should have access to all features. There they go. That our add-ons give us. So yesterday we stopped at line 326 in client refactor, and what were we doing? We were creating. Okay, right. So we actually ended up learning about the difference between SQL and SQLite and PostgreSQL. Determined that we don't need PostgreSQL on the client side, but we might use PostgreSQL for the server side. Yeah, so get rid of this, which is what I usually do. I get rid of that. And okay, so what are we going to actually be doing? Well, hopefully we're going to actually begin the implementation of this in client factor. That's the goal anyway. That was what we were supposed to do yesterday, but I ended up learning more instead. It's always good to learn, but even better is applying our knowledge and doing stuff. Doing is than learning. But there he goes. There he is. Okay, back to it. Okay, so we can get rid of this. And alright, so we need to create the table for save data. So oops, let me open this up so you can see our cursor here. There we go. We create the table for save data. We access game ID from save data. So we're refactoring in the refactor file. So we'll actually put this begin implementation because it's the same thing we're doing. I forgot to set my timer, so let's go ahead and set that. We're gonna do. I really wanted to do 2 hours, but we'll see. So we did 3 minutes, so we'll do 65. All right, timer set. And why does it look so dark? It's a cheap look. See, like I lean forward. It's this lighting over here. Cover up this lighting, I get brighter, and then if I don't, it makes me darker. Auto adjust settings with the webcam. Anyway, not important. Okay, so let's go to things to do. So we have server side, PostgreSQL save system. Yeah, this is. Minimize all these. Collapse them rather. I like to be nice and neat. So let's first of all crank up. Let's test our game. Let's make sure it's still working. Because we do want to make sure it's still working, right? We have been working in refactor, so we shouldn't have any issues. Let's crank the server up, see what happens. Everything's still working over here. Think about getting a new monitor, guys. Thinking about getting a new monitor. Waiting other player. Uh-oh. Did we not hit enter? Okay, so that is not good. We're actually... Let me see something, because we got that waiting player. Let's crank up the server. Server's running. let's do other first. I'm wondering, does it always do that if the client no? Because we just did first there and it was fine. L. Right, and we got that ghost card. That actually, right? Maybe. Just worried about it. She get a counter. How many times I talk about getting rid of the ghost card? Yeah, so I mean, overall, it seems like it's working fine. We haven't changed anything. I just wanted to make sure it cranked up and we didn't hit any crash bugs. And yeah, everything's looking good. Looking good. All right, so we can kill that. Kill that. Look at all that output. Okay, and why do we have a blank space right here? Did I just do something? Nope. Okay. Don't like blank spaces. Alright, so we have first task is to create the table for saved data. So first off, we actually have to like establish the create the database, establish connection, or is that only with SQL? PostgreSQL. I can't remember. So let's go over and ask our good friend and teacher, ChatGPT and Claude. SQLite 3 to write ahead logging code. Alright, SQLite for multiplayer games. Alright. Show me how to start SQLite 3. Create the database and alright, so here's a simple guide to setting up SQLite 3, creating a database and defining a table. So first off, we have to install SQLite if it's not already. SQLite comes built into Python. Install the command line tool if needed. Do that? Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. Oh yeah, right. We're gonna do this in an independent file and learn and to test it. On Windows, you can download it from SQLite. So let's see. First of all, do we actually have SQLite? So let us create. We'll go to testing, and we're gonna create a new file, and we're gonna call it SQLite test. Right. And then we're going to import SQLite 3. Is that how we do this? Import SQLite 3. All right. And I will copy this, but I like to write it out myself. So we're gonna write it out ourselves. I'm gonna copy it and paste it rather, and then I'm gonna Shift Enter, editor creation failure. Okay, so I don't know how I did that, but I didn't mean to do that. I've never done that on accident before. That's weird. All right, here we go. It's my thumb's messed up, so not using my thumb has made me like do weird things with my typing and stuff. Can't use spacebar. My thumb, I have to use my index finger. Messing with my brain chemistry, muscle memory, and all that. Okay, so we want to connect to or create a database file. But yeah, we do need to connect to it. So we say con equals SQLite connect game save database. Creates a game save database. So we're gonna write this out. con equals because writing it out, you know, it's like copying notes from class. Just reading it doesn't really do the trick, does it? So we have to do save file dot db, right? And do we have to use double quotes? I don't think we do. Okay. Comment that one out, and then we have create a cursor object to execute SQL commands. So cursor equals con.cursor, right? And then create a table for player save data. Create a table, player save data. Create a table known as this player saves, ID integer. ID integer prime key auto increment. So first we take cursor dot execute, and then we do triple quotes, and I did it again. Shift enter thing. Just hit enter there. Do enter again, and then so 1, 2, 3. This here, and now we want to add one. Say create table if not exists. We'll call it save data with a table. Okay, now we have open parentheses, enter, and now we're here. We're gonna indent one level. Okay, then we're gonna have the ID, which is integer. So, how do we want this table to exist? Like, what do we want to be the primary key? Because the primary key is how we access data in the database. And I don't think I want to access it through integer. Like, I think I would rather access it through like the object, the object name. So like everything is an object, right? Or we could just call it data name. Data name, like data name, object name. Which one is better? I think object name is better. So we'll say object name. This is going to be actually a string. And do we say str? We actually say text. Say text. And then we want this to be the primary key. Primary key. And yeah, okay, there we go. And then, I don't know why it's indented. And then we want, so we have the object name, and what else? Just want the value, right? Is that simple? The object name, and then the value. Is it that simple? I mean, I think it is. Yes, no? So the value would be, can we say any? What is, like, can we say any type? can we, let's read the explanation here. So SQLite3 connect game save DB creates or opens a database file. Cursor execute runs SQL commands, creating a table in this case. Con commit save changes to the database. Con close closes the transaction when done. Would you like an example of writing and reading player save data? Let's say SQLite 3 101 user guide. That's what There we go, baby. To the moon, right? Quick beginner friendly guide. SQLite 3 is a lightweight file-based database that requires no separate server, built into Python, and is great for local saves from all projects and testing. No setup required. Fast and lightweight, easy to use, simple SQL syntax, atomic, and crash safe. Uses a journal system, WAL mode. SQL write at a time, though WAL moving concurrency, and then we have not for high traffic servers. Use PostgreSQL instead. Basic SQLite 3 commands, creating a database and table. So we did all that. Text not. See, I don't know what all these commands are here. So player name text is not null, so you can't like allow. You have to have a value. It can't be null. I guess that is what that means. And then we have, okay, so you can default values. You can set them to default values using default keyword. And then we have timestamp. So we can actually have a timestamp for if we needed it, that SQL like takes care of. We just use this timestamp keyword and it gets the timestamp. And then we default it to the current timestamp. Okay, that's cool. Creates a table player saves if it doesn't exist. And so inserting data, we would do cursor execute insert into player saves, and then that's the table name. Then we have the three things, what do we call these? Columns that we're dealing with. And the values here are going to be associated with each column. And we pass in the amount of question marks separated by commas that match the number of elements in the column parentheses section. We have a comma separating that. So that is its own string. You need to know that, so that syntax is proper. So we have double quotes. Maybe you need double quotes, I don't know. I guess we'll find that out because I prefer single quotes when possible. And then insert into all capitals. Then we have the table name. Then we have the columns in parentheses separated by commas. Then we have the values keyword. Then we have the question marks of each column separated by commas. Then that is the end of that string. So the insert into string, and then it's separated by a comma. And then we have the actual values, okay, that these are going to be set to. And in this instance, we have a string, Alice, integer 5, and then 100. Con commit, con close, alright. Okay. Jesus Christ, I'm so sore, dude. I am so sore. Like, I worked out, bruh. Man, I feel like an old man. I'm so sore. Like I can't move. Uses question mark to prevent SQL injection. Okay, what does that mean? Yeah, I don't know what this means. I want to ask about this. What does that mean? Do we have to have the question marks? Question mark? Fetching data. Con SQLite connect. Con cursor equals con cursor. Cursor execute. Select asterisk from player saves, and I believe that selects everything. And then rows equals cursor fetch all. So it's selecting all the columns. And then it's fetching all of the rows. And then it iterates through the rows and it prints each player's save data. And then it does con close. Fetches and prints all saved players. And then updating data. Okay, so this is, as opposed to insert, is if it doesn't exist. If we don't have that, like, object. Okay, well, what about if we don't know? So number 2 would be, do we use update when we aren't sure if the, what is this called? If the record right, because we go off the primary key. Do we use update when we aren't sure if the record exists? AKA not sure if there is already a DB entry inside of the DB at that primary key. Or do we use insert in that? Alright, now. So say update player saves, and you're setting the score equal question mark where player name, and so where references the primary key, right? I'm assuming that where refers to primary key, and set is the field column we want to update for that primary keys value. I'm assuming that. All right, and then updates Alice's score to 1500. Okay. And then deleting data, we would say this deletes a player's save. We would say cursor execute delete from player saves, the table, and then where player name equals whatever, and that's so deleting that entire row. So the delete gets rid of that entire row associated with that primary. T. Enabling WL mode, better concurrency. If multiple threads are writing, enable write-ahead logging for better concurrency. Okay, yeah, let's not forget to do that, because we do want that to happen. So we do cursor execute pragma journal mode equals WL. Let's copy this, go over to our test file, and so yeah, you won't have to do that once per. Yeah. All right, so let's get rid of this. All right, so now I have cursor execute pragma mode equals WAL. Just write this so I remember it. Cursor execute, and then do pragma journal mode, journal underscore mode equals WAL. And I don't think we actually need that semicolon. Maybe we do. We'll just leave that one just in case we do need the so that actually creates the database. Oh yeah, we can't do that because it's have to leave it up there. Okay, so you have create table if not exists, save data, object name, text, primary key, value. Yeah, how do we allow for any value? 5, when creating a new entry into the DB, what keyword allows us to have any data type as the associated value? I.e., whenever we do like let's see, we do like blank and then integer, i.e. value integer a different keyword than integer that allows it to be any data type. Alright, there we go. So let's give it these prompts. Okay, so number 1, question mark placeholders prevent SQL injection. What does that mean? Using question mark prevent SQL from injection attacks, which happen when user input is executed as raw SQL. Okay. Gotcha. Example SQL injection action. A player name equals Alice. Drop table player saves. And then cursor execute F select all from player saves where player name is equal to player name. If someone enters this as their name, it deletes your entire table. Gotcha. Safeguard using placeholders. Cursor execute select all from player saves where player name is equal to question mark and then enter in player name. Treats input as plain text. Okay, I see. So it segregates it so that it doesn't get treated like actual SQL. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, you always want to use question mark placeholders instead of inserting variables directly into SQL strings. Fair enough. I mean, but we trust the data, so it actually wouldn't be a problem. You sure want to do update versus insert, which to use if we don't know if a record exists. If you're not sure if the record already exists, you have 2 options. Option 1 is insert or replace, which would override the existing data. If a record with ID is equal to 1 exists, it overwrites it. If it doesn't exist, it creates a new one. Downside would be that it completely replaces the row, even if some columns weren't updated. Option number 2, insert if new, update if existing, more control. So option 2, insert if new, update if existing, more control. Cursor XG, select all from player saves or ID. Existing record equals cursor fetch 1 if existing record. Update player. Okay. Yeah, we wouldn't do that. We would just only updates the necessary fields. Oh, the downside to insert or replace is it completely replaces the row even if some columns weren't updated. But if we're only gonna have one column, or two rather, which is the ID and then the value, I don't think that would be an issue. Planning on having those two columns. We'll have ID and then the object name and the associated value. So E1 and would be the object name, and then equals whatever it consists of would be the associated value column. So in that case, wouldn't have to worry about, you know, it only updating certain columns. So option 2 is insert if new, update of existing. Yes, so we looked at that already. I'm gonna get a little bit of caffeine here. Okay. What do where and set do in an update query? So update player saves, set score. Where ID finds the row with the primary key ID 1, okay, and then set score equals 1500 updates only the score column for that row, okay. And you can update multiple columns like this. Update player saves, set score equals 1500, level equals 10, where ID is equal to 1. What happens when we delete a row? Delete from player saves where ID is equal to 1. Removes the entire row where ID is equal to 1. Other rows remain untouched. If you forget where, you delete everything. So if you just say delete from player saves, it deletes everything. So delete from player saves deletes all rows. Dangerous. Gotcha. How to store any data type in a column. Use blob or text for storing any type of data. Best choice is blob would be binary large object. Create table, player saves, ID integer, primary key, auto increment, data, blob can store any type of data. You can store JSON images, binary files, etc. inside blob. Alternative text, flexible, it stores as a string. Easier to work with JSON or Python dictionaries, but only stores as text, not raw binary. Would you like examples for JSON? Let's see. What do I need it to do? I need it to... Well, I think we can continue actually. Oh yeah, and doesn't a blob have to be a serialized object? Yes, blob binary large objects must be serialized before storing and deserialize it when retrieving. SQLite doesn't natively understand Python objects, so you need to convert them into a format that can be stored as raw binary. How to store a Python object in a blob. If you want to store Python objects, lists, dicts, etc., use pickle for serialization. Okay, so we're going to use pickle to serialize them. So let's import pickle as well. Okay, now we can go down here and but yeah, we also wanted to set cursor execute. What is it called? We want synchronous. Synchronous equals normal. Isn't that what it is? Normal. In a lessons fsync for less disk writes but faster performance. And then we can do, I think to check it, we'd say, to check like that this is set correctly, we would say cursor execute just pragma synchronous, and that will actually retrieve the data for us. And then we can say cursor fetch one. Fetch one. Then we do the same thing, but with WAL. And we just drop the equals, and this should retrieves the journal. And same thing for this, but it retrieves the synchronous synchronous. I think that's spelled right. Setting. Okay, and then I think we have to do fetch one after each. We'll say summons the retrieved. Okay, so then we do cursor execute. This is creating a table for player save data. Create tables not exist. Player saves. Yeah, you're gonna use blob. We don't need timestamp. We don't need auto increment. So we rid of this. Just the default. We have just ours. Create tables not exist. Save data. Object name is primary key, and then value is gonna be blob. Do we have to put a comma at the very end? Nope. So for the last one, we don't need a comma, but we do need to close those parentheses out. And how did they do it? They had their parentheses even with create table, so this is currently correct. Right, and then yeah, that would commit our changes and then close the connection. And what exactly does con close do? I think that's kind of a dumb question, isn't it? It just closes the database. Well, that's not a dumb question. What exactly does con close do in this context? Does close do in this scenario? Does it delete the DB file? Like, what is the extent of this? So we have to use pickle dumps on the data. So we would have some sort of data here. Just say data equals 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have data 1. And then data 2. This will just be a dictionary. value will be 1. This one, the value would be 1, 2, 3. This one's associated value will be string. This one's associated value will be, alright, 1, set to 1, 2, set to 1, 3 list, 3 set to string, and then 4, 2, 3, 4. And then we have, let's just say, data number 3. And this would just be an actual, let's exactly, we'll have a tuple, just, I don't really know exactly what would we have in the tuple. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Alright, it's gonna be data number 3. Now we're gonna say for, just do data 1 dot dumps. Isn't that what we did? Data 1 dumps. And then be serialized data 1. It's for each one. For 2 and then for 3. There we go. Alright. It's not the right context, the right syntax rather. This is supposed to be pickle dot dumps, and we pass the data inside. There we go. So now we can modify that. Oops, looks like we did something wrong here. This is gonna be data 2. Here, let's do the 3. Alright, so now we have our 3 pickled dates. Connection, we have our cursor, this enabling WAL mode, synchronous set to normal. This checks and verifies that we have properly set these 2 settings. Then we create a table for the player save data. So we create table if not exists, save data as the name of the table. We have the object name, which is going to be text, and it's going to be the primary key. And then we have value blob. Now, I don't know, we might have to create like an object dictionary or whatever. I don't know. Like, because the way that we're going to identify each saved object using just the object name, like, how do we get that, right? If it's player 1 hand, how do we make sure it dynamically assigns that value as player string of player 1 hand, as opposed to if it's just a simple variable like, I don't know, the changed attribute list? How would it know to use that as the identifying object name? You know, like how will it get that data specifically? How will it know? Instead of us like manually telling it every time we change, you know, the data. Yeah, could we extract the object name somehow and pass that in as the primary key? Or do we just have to... Yeah, I would like to be able to extract the data and basically put this in like a function that gets run every time the data gets changed or whatever. Okay, so we're making progress. Albeit not quite as fast as I would like. And I am just beat today, bro. Went out and did some yard work. And I swear to God, I didn't work today because I'm on vacation, right? But dude, my body is like... My body is like, what did you do to me? I don't know. I mean, I work out pretty hard, but I work out like that like all the time, and I don't get this sore, so I don't know. Okay, so where were we here, guys? Let me stretch it out here. Stretch it out. Oh God. Oh, you know, sometimes you just gotta stretch it out, right? Oh shit. I'm getting old, guys. That's what it's coming down to, bro. I'm getting old, dude. It's happening. I'm gonna be 34 this year. In just a couple months. Almost to the day. 2 months to the day, minus 1 day. You do the math. Alright. So we create the table, object name, okay, the value is going to be a blob. We have serialized the data. And it must be serialized to be a blob. A blob. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What are we doing here? Does this actually create the database? Okay, right, and we were asking, what exactly does close do? So let's go down here and see, what does close do exactly? Whoa, what we got going on here? It gave me an alternative. I didn't ask for an alternative, baby. Sorry, but how to store a Python object named blob? Serialized. If you want to store Python objects, listics, etc., use pickle. Yeah. Okay. Just data equals nums. Cursor execute. Insert into player data. Player name. See. Alright. Con command retrieve and initialize the blob data. Retrieve and deserialize the blob data. Cursor execute select save data from player data where player name equals. Retrieve and deserialize the blob data. Cursor execute select save data. So select is to retrieve. You select the table and you no. The player data is the table. And save data is the where does it get the term save data? Okay, so save data is the column. It's selecting from that column, and it's selecting from the player data table where the player name primary key, where the primary key, which is player name, is equal to Alice. and it's fetching 1, but it's accessing at index 0. And that's because it returns a tuple, I think, with only one object. So save data is going to be the object, but it's going to be inside of a tuple. So you say cursor fetch 1 at index 0, and then it's going to convert the binary back to a Python object. Retrieve save equals to call pickle.loads on the data. Okay, so we'll copy this because we do want to test that. And then we can print that data to make sure it's correctly retrieve it. Retrieve and deserialize the blob data. Yeah. All right, this should be an inline comment. I would think we call these inline comments. All right, now let's continue this. Alternative, store as JSON in a text column. We don't, but if you don't need binary storage, JSON format as text is simpler and more human readable. Store and retrieve a Python dictionary as JSON. Yeah, we're not doing that shit. Not even looking at that. Which one should use? Blob, pickle, stores any Python object, and then yeah. Is only text, numbers, lists, and dicts use JSON. If you need arbitrary Python objects, use blob. Well, pickle's faster anyway. It's faster than JSON. We've been through that, right? It's faster. True. So we wouldn't just use JSON. Close do calling con close closes the connection to the SQLite database without deleting the DB file, so it doesn't delete it. It flushes any pending writes to the disk. Okay. It releases locks on the database. It frees up system resources, memory, and then file handles. It ensures that no further queries are run on the closed connection. Ensures that no further queries are run on the closed connection. What it doesn't do, it does not delete the database file. It does not remove data from tables. It does not automatically commit changes. You must call con commit before closing. Okay. Closing without committing. And then since commit was not called, Bob's data is not saved. Database file remains on disk viewer, but all data is still there. However, to delete database manually, you can do if OS path exists, OS remove. Gotcha. Okay, so I think we know pretty much everything that we need to know to run this test here. We got 14 more minutes. So this is receiving, but we don't want to do that. We want to write to the and remember, well, yeah, it's okay to use or replace because let's go back up here. Is it? Okay. Right, so we have two options. We could do. What's the one? Oh, that's the second question. Never mind. Of the reverse insert, which usually we don't have a record is this, so we can use insert or replace. That overwrites it if it already exists. If it doesn't exist, it creates a new one, but it completely replaces the row even if columns weren't updated. So since we only have I'm trying to think of the best option here. Like, what would we want to use? We could completely replace the row, even if some columns. That means we would have to pass in the ID, like the name and the value each time, as opposed to using update and then just passing the value. So when determining which to use between insert or replace versus update with check record logic, which is more performant? Comparison, insert or replace versus update with check logic. So insert or replaces a single query, simple, avoids manual checks. It always deletes and reinserts the row, resetting auto increment IDs and triggers. Performance slower if updating often. And update with check logic, only updates if needed, avoids unnecessary acts. Requires select before update or insert. Better for frequent updates. Row, when insert or replace is slower, is when the row already exists and you just need to update a single field. Deletes older ones, which is expensive. Right, so but we have to use that code which checks for it, which is right here. So we have to do existing record equals fetch one, and then if select all from places where ID is equal to fetch one, and then if there is an existing record, you update, and then else so this code is faster than insert. Yes, so this code is typically faster than insert or replace into. Your approach using select, update, insert is usually faster and more efficient than insert or replace into, especially when most records already exist and just need updates. It's inefficient. It's inserts or player saves. And the scenes SQLite does this: deletes the existing row with ID already exists, inserts a new row with the new data, resets auto incremented values, delete plus insert hooks. Delete insert takes more time than a single update. It's wasteful if you're only small part of the row. I'll select update, insert works efficient. Why is this better? Only updates the row if necessary. Necessary delete plus insert keeps existing primary key, avoids set issues. Or key references, no broken links in related tables. Okay. Faster for frequent updates, only updates when needed. Okay, so it did a benchmark, which is what I would ask it to do. So yeah, so this is simple. Yeah, and this reflects what we would be using. This is using in-memory DB for speed. What does this mean? Using in-memory database for speed? What does that mean? Why you didn't tell me about this? What does... Cursor equals concursor. cursor execute create table player saves ID integer primary key score integer insert initial data to this is doing memory using in-memory DB for speed, cursor equals con cursor execute create table, so it's creating that integer primary key score integer, insert initial data cursor execute many, insert into player saves ID score values. Okay, so it's doing execute many. It's doing the ID and the score and the values question mark, and then it's passing in a list I 1000. So this is list comprehension, right? It's called I in range of 10,000. So it's going to increment the key starting at 1, going all the way up to 10,000, and the value is always going to be, or the score is always going to be 1000. It's going to commit that. It's going to run this for I in range 10,000. Insert or replace. So then it's doing the insert or replace into. Okay. Concommit replace equals time.time minus start time. Wait, but what about okay, so this is replacing it. I got it. I see what's going on here. Okay, so it's just replacing all the entries with that were originally set to 1000 to 1500. Okay, that makes sense. And then method number 2, select update insert is supposed to be faster. We have create table, execute many. It's doing the initial just like it did. And this should be in range of, it's cut off for whatever reason. There we go. Why did it do that? I don't know. Even faster is insert or on conflict do update. So insert on conflict do update. So how is this different from insert or replace? It's a one-liner. It avoids select. On conflict ID do update set. So it goes to insert it as a new one, but if it finds that it already exists, then it updates. Excluded dot score. Why do we do that? One-liner board select query. Efficient only updates if necessary, and then no unnecessary delete plus insert. Recycle benchmark comparison including insert on conflicts. Okay, so let's go back up here and finish reading this. We didn't finish reading this one. So it's executing many. This is the initial. Then we have the start time for the test for I in range of 10,000. Execute. Select 1. Player saves. Select 1 from player saves. Why is it select 1? Let's say 1. Doesn't that mean select score? So it's using an index. So that's ID would be 0 and then 1. So select score from player. We'll say 2 is select 1 here referring to score via an index, i.e. 0 equals ID, 1 equals score. Okay, so then it's running that test, selecting the score where the ID to question mark, and then it's passing in I. So I is the ID. It's going to increment each time. If cursor fetch 1, I guess what exactly happens if cursor is fetch 1? What does this return when it works versus when there is no entry? Okay, and then so how does it work exactly? All right, and then so if cursor fetch 1, that means if it did exist, then it will update it, and then it updates the table setting the score column equal to the value you pass in, where the ID is equal to the associated ID. And then else, if it doesn't exist, then we create it. So we create the new entry into the database, the new row, with the ID and then the score columns. The values being I 1500, gotcha, okay. And then you will print select update insert time minus, okay, so it prints the results. But we don't want it to, well, I guess the print does take time. It should record the time before it starts the print, to be fair, to have a fair benchmark. But let's just look at the results. How did it do the print in the first one? It should be basically the same, but should have got the timestamp prior to this print. It should have assigned it to a value prior to this print. That's a little sloppy. Now we have results. What's its method? Insert or replace is 3.5 seconds, and then select update insert is 2.1 seconds, so it's 40% faster. Wow, that's great. 1.4 seconds. That's pretty great. Yeah, straight up, that's really good. All right, so I think your select update insert is significantly faster when most records already exist. However, there's an even faster alternative: insert on conflict, do update. So insert on conflict, yeah. It's a one-liner. Ooh, so it avoids using select. That's cool. So it's basically you're just using the regular insert syntax, but you're adding an extra line on conflict, do update set. I like that actually. That's really cool. And if it's faster, then yes, show results of benchmark for insert on conflict do update compared to the other two. Alright, and we're gonna take a break here. Man, I'm just so tired. I'm honestly about I might go to PJ's, bro, and give me a call. I usually don't do that. I'm gonna do PJ's just because it's expensive. But I'm on vacation, you know, so I'm a little lax, you know, on the spendings. In my vacation week, I can spend a little. Oh, what does SQLite Reconnect Memory do? It creates a temporary in-memory database that only exists while the program is running. The database is stored entirely in RAM, making it much faster than a file-based SQLite database. When the program exits, the database disappears. So we wouldn't really want to use this. Creates a new database. Gotcha. Oh, wait a second. Well, doesn't that skew the results, though? You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess if they're all using it, then it doesn't skew the results because it's a constant. Or to select one from player's data. This create checks if a record exists for the given ID without fetching all columns. So select one does not select column. Just returns one if the rows exist. Select one. Player saves. Where? Okay, I see. This query checks if a player her record exists for the given ID without fetching all columns. Gotcha. So you select one. Does not select a column, it just returns one if the row exists. Okay, that's cool. One is just a placeholder. You could also write select ID or select score, but one is slightly faster. Okay, cool. I didn't know you could do that. That's cool. You can make it just return an integer value as like a true or false, like a boolean, to check if that entry at that primary key exists. SQLite only returns the first matching row. It only returns the first matching row. So else return. So concerning question number 3 from last prompt. Python if else returns else, aka false, if result is equal to none. Is that always how Python's if else works? And then number 4, benchmark insert on conflict do update versus other methods. Okay. So we create table player saves ID integer primary key score integer. Okay, and then it does integer player saves ID score values list comprehension I 1000 for I in range of 10,000. Okay. And then start time equals time for I in a range of 10,000. Cursor execute, insert, or replace into. Oh, so it's doing all of them? Wait, what? Okay, it's just showing the again, and then showing method 3. Okay, wow. So there you go. Insert on conflict or do update is the fastest. There we go. So use insert on. Keep note of this. We'll put this here. Space that. I love learning new stuff, dude. I love it. I love. Oh, you can use these emojis. They called in. I don't even know what those are called. Symbols. I like them. Use them in Python without it. Well, it might throw an error. We'll see. All right, guys. I'm like dead. I'm literally dead right now. So I'm falling asleep as I sit. I feel like I could take a nap, and I don't want to take a nap. I want to go get. I'm gonna go get coffee. So you're gonna go to PJ's. I'm gonna go to PJ's. I'm gonna get a coffee. Come back. We're gonna do another hour. Power hour. This was not a power hour. This was a half power hour. 50%. Like Wally. You know, when he was basically dead in Charge of the Sun. It's like near now. I'm near dead Wally. Alright, so I'm gonna go take a break. Let's go write this Devi log here. So we got 521. We did an hour, and of course we went over, baby. We did an hour and 50 minutes. Basically 1.25 hours. Great. Beginning of basic lecture. And actually we began testing how to use SQLite in SQLite test by while prompt learning from ChatGPT the process subjects. Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go. I'll come back and we'll do some more. And yeah, there it is. So see you in a bit. Get that shave. Looking smooth, dude. Looking smooth, man.